Pilgrimage, journeying on foot to holy places, was once Britain's most popular expression of leisure and spirituality until it was banned by Henry VIII and Thomas Cromwell in 1538. But this ancient tradition has been going through something of a revival in recent years. An ambitious new book illustrates 500 historic routes and places across the country. It's called Britain's Pilgrim Places. It's co-authored by Nick Mayhew-Smith, who joins us now. Nick, good morning to you.
Good morning, William.
How do you explain this apparent revival in pilgrimage, particularly in what's often described as a secular age?
Indeed. Well, I think you've given away the clue in the name there. It is a secular age in the sense that we see a decline in kind of traditional religiosity. So people are going to church less often, very simply. But of course, that fundamental expression people have to connect to something bigger than themselves, to find spirituality and so on, that's a kind of evergreen part of human nature. So the pilgrimage, the desire to travel, to connect, to see wonderful holy places and kind of come to terms with some bigger history, bigger stories, and see some artworks. That's kind of still there. So although people are maybe going to church less and participating formally, these informal expressions of spirituality are kind of rising at the same time.
What do we know about the kinds of people setting out on pilgrimage these days?
Well, the British Pilgrimage Trust, who sponsored this book and who are promoting pilgrimage brilliantly across Britain in the last 6 years, have sort of surveyed them, and they found that really a lot of people are going in order to kind of, it's, if you like, an intentional journey. It's as simple as that. You go with some kind of thought or something that's on your mind, and work it out as you kind of walk along the byways and highways to your destination. And I think at Pilgrim Places, people do find themselves unexpectedly moved to light a candle, to stand at a shrine, to gaze up at the lofty arches if they're in a cathedral, and just to connect to this great heritage, this wonderful culture we have that's still there, very much alive if you go and reconnect to it. So I think people are going and really bringing their own stories, making their own adventures there.
I suspect everyone knows of some kind of pilgrimage route or place, but you've managed to illustrate 500 of them. That may be surprising to people. Quite a lot of them still around.
Well, in fact, I went to more than that. I went to about 600 or 700 on my journeys to look at Britain's holy places, and I only put in the book. We decided to focus on places which still have that kind of spiritual essence. So if someone was buried under a Sainsbury's car park, for example, that wouldn't rank as the sort of most holy and contemplative place. But virtually all the others, I found
other car parks are available.
Other car parks are available, indeed. And we kind of made sure that you could go and connect in some meaningful way to the story. And I was amazed, even the most remote sacred tree, somewhere wild, far away you walk to, there'd be people who tied ribbons to them. So people are still going, local people still seeking out their kind of holy places in the landscape and connecting.
Did you make any discoveries, anything that surprised you on your journey through these places?
Well, I think one of the biggest surprises was just how far the holy places are kind of dispersed across the countryside. So obviously you'd think immediately pilgrimage, you might think cathedral, because that was obviously the place for the shrine, and that was where we all, dutifully lined up and went to on the great pilgrim routes. But in fact, there was an awful lot of devotion that spilled out into the landscape. So it was the sacred caves, holy trees, wells, mountain tops, rivers, lakes, and particularly holy islands, which we have rather a lot of in Britain, all over the place. So this kind of landscape spirituality was kind of almost the whole country's alive with this wonderful history, heritage of fantastic out-of-the-way places, which are a counterpoint to the city centre cathedrals, which are very, very accessible.
Nick, apart from the opportunity to get a good walk, what do people tell you about the sort of psychological or spiritual outputs of this kind of experience, the effects on them?
Oh, well, I was speaking to Guy Hayward from the British Pilgrimage Trust about this, and he's looked at this very closely, and he was saying that really people go on pilgrimage at times of great crisis in their life. People will head out when they've got something to kind of chew over, they've got problems and so on. And I think probably in sort of Britain being a bit bruised and battered, as we are all around the world with lockdown and so on, and our churches being closed off or limited, for a long period and just slowly reopening now. I think there is this the kind of the pilgrimage, the places in our book are really give a chance to get back out and go and see something, feel something when
Nick,
we're all a bit down.
thank you very much, Nick. Nick Mayhew-Smith, and his book is Britain's Pilgrim Places.